memories of your first train set?
Yeah, it was an LNER good set. My grandfather bought me, it would have been Christmas 1950, because I was 5, had my 5th birthday in September, and I'm pretty sure I got it for my for Christmas 1950. I would remember, I only get flashes of memory when you're 4 and 5, and I only just get flashes, and I don't remember opening it or anything, but I remember sort of, well, I think it was my father was virtually instigated it, because it was his father that bought it, and it's been on the lounge room floor. We'd moved out of London, we were down in a village called Gerrards Cross, and on the lounge room floor at Christmas, and cousins came over, and uncle, and the uncle and father.
Are you sure this was your present?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. This grandfather actually, I think, bought me a two-wheel bike when I was 4. I was only 4 years old.
So it's pretty good having quite a wealthy grandfather.
Well, he was a bit wealthy. He during the war, he actually had what they call an off licence, which here we would call a bottle shop. And of course, if you had an off licence selling alcohol and liquor during the war, there was money to be made.
Black market.
No, there was
Say
money
no
to
more.
be made. Say no more. And he had contacts in Covent Garden and the fruit market. He had a lot of contacts there. He was into horse racing. And at Christmas time, I remember as kids we used to have pineapples and pomegranates and what's the other? Coconuts, all this sort of tropical fruits, which other kids didn't even see just after the war. But we used to all have all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
So, did you want the train set? Was it on the radar, or?
I don't know really. I was only 5.
That's very young.
Yeah, I know. I had it bought for me. So the same as I think it was the year before, because we were still in London. I think it would have been a birthday, possibly for my 4th birthday. This grandfather bought me a live steamboat. I haven't got that now. My mother gave it away actually when we moved to some poor kid down the road. But I have replaced it with one I picked up here.
What brand were the steamboats?
I don't know the one I've got now is a Hobbies, English Hobbies. As far as I remember from memory of it, it was very similar, and it could have been the same brand. I don't know.
So was your grandfather into boats? Or
No, he just bought.
He wasn't into railways or model railways?
Horses. He was a horseman. Yeah. Well, before the war, he bought my father a car. He hated cars. He literally hated them. He was at home with horse and trap, and but he bought my father a car because he wanted to go to the races. And my father used to drive him, all of us, to the races, and he used to sit in the front seat with his trilby hat in his lap, literally terrified. He used to sit there just looking straight ahead, and he was absolutely terrified.
Wow. And, not even a backseat driver.
Well, no, he was a front seat driver. He had to sit in the front.
He wouldn't be telling your father, though, what to do.
Oh, no, he did. He was absolutely silent till he got there. Once he got out, he was fine. He was in to make the horses, the trainers, and everything. So, yeah.
So he was your financial benefactor into the world of model railways.
Well, toys. Toys, really, yeah.
So having this first set, what do you remember? Do you remember playing with it?
Yeah, I remember playing. I used to have to pack it away. I used to keep it up in my bedroom. As time went on, aunts, I think even that first Christmas, I sort of, about 3 aunts. They bought me sort of things like signals. I remember one of them bought me it wasn't the 88 footbridge, it was the crescent one, the green one. Bought me the green crescent. I didn't know the difference, it was a footbridge. And signals, and I bought a little water tank. And that was a crescent one, the round one, and various accessories. And I think the following Christmas, I do remember that quite well, going to Marshall's toy shop in the village at Gerrards Cross and buying a Silver King loco and 2 coaches. It wasn't a set, I just bought the loco in a box.
So was this birthday, Christmas, or pocket money?
I think it was money I got at Christmas or something. I don't really remember, but I remember going into the toy shop after Christmas and buying this Silver King. with a tender and two coaches, two LNER coaches.
So was this start of expanding, or was it just at the time you felt it was just a toy?
It was just something to play with. Bear in mind, in England, you got winter months. The rest of the time I used to spend out. I was never at home. As soon as I got home, I was out over the common on my bike. I used to go over to the blacksmith. So I used to help the blacksmith in the village, holding the horses, shoeing horses, and that sort of thing. So I was always out. But of course, winter time I was a bit housebound. So I used to play with it. And I remember getting some Britain's cows, pigs. I don't know what happened to those. I had a little farm that used to go with it, and I used to play with it up in my bedroom. The boxes are all long gone now, but I didn't. They were kept and packed away in tea chests, and then when I was about possibly 12, 13, and
Not as interested?
not as interested. I was going out to the pictures and girlfriends and whatever.
Cars?
Cars came along when I was about 16. I had a car before I was actually 16, and I was working on cars. Actually, I was into racing, bike racing, cycling. I used to do road racing when I was about 13, 14, 15. Then cars came along. All got packed away until we came to Australia and got married, and then kids came along, and I got it out to play with the kids when they got to about 5 years old. So, and they used to, the eldest daughter Lisa used to enjoy making those. We've made some super quick models, cardboard ones.
Oh, yes, scenery, yeah.
She used to love that, and she used to like painting the figures. We used to buy the figures and painting figures, and so they were quite interested. And as time went on, I joined the Hornby Club.
When was that?
Would have been about when 85, I should think.
What was the reason behind that, though?
I'd got this train set out, and there was
For the kids,
and it was advertised the Brisbane Model Train Show, and I went along to that, and I met a guy called Clive McTaggart, who Peter Spraggan knows him, and Robert wouldn't, but he was had a little shop down at Eckerby, and had masses of Hornby, an avid collector of O gauge, but he had 002. And
so he had second-hand gear?
Oh yeah, he used to buy and sell. He sold new stuff, second-hand stuff. He used to get stuff in as trade-ins, and then he would sell the old 00 and O gauge.
This was in Brisbane?
This was in Brisbane.
And the shop, can you remember?
It was at Eckerby.
What was it called?
I'll have to think of it.
We'll come back to that.
It was an old shop like a corner shop in the. It wasn't in the shopping centre. It was just way back in the 60s, late 60s. It was like a converted shop in front of the house, and he turned it into a bit of a shop. But I got to know him quite well, and when I went there, his wife would say, I'll make a cup of tea, and I used to go and sit in the house and we'd chat. And I did a model railway show. I think I did a 00 layout first of all. And
so by this time you were acquiring quite a bit of
I was starting to get a bit of extra 00, and I started to acquire O gauge. And I remember doing a clockwork. I didn't have any electric, but I did a clockwork layout.
Hello again?
No, O gauge.
O gauge.
And I went to Clive because I didn't have any bogey coaches, and I wanted to borrow. He lent them to me. I said, could I borrow some for the show? And he also lent me a #1 good shed.
So at this stage...
engine shed, a #1 engine shed. And he'd had a stroke, and one of the other fellas brought him in. He was in a wheelchair. Anyway, they wheeled him round, and he came. And after the train show, I remember I took these back to him, and he had trouble speaking, and he had this, like a speech impediment because of the stroke. And I couldn't quite understand what he was saying, and his wife said, he doesn't want those back. He enjoyed seeing you exhibit them, with your layout, and they weren't mint or anything, but they were like gold dust to me. I didn't have any bogey coaches. I didn't have an engine shed. It was the small, the #1 one, and I've still got them. And he said, he wants you to have them. So that was the start of collecting getting sort of bigger stuff. Like,
So this O gauge, it was all Hornby at this stage?
it was all Hornby. Then one train show, I used to do the train show every year. Of course, it was a good source of the sign in the front. I wanted to buy trains like these. And it used to come in every train show, like boxes of it. People would bring it in. And one particular train show, a fella came in and one of the members said to me, do you want to buy this coach? It was a Bassett Loke LMS coach. And this fella bought in a Hornby Pullman number 2 coach and this Bassett Loke bogie LMS coach. He wanted to buy the Hornby, but the fella wanted to sell the two for $50, $25 each. And I would have bought the Hornby, but he put first dabs on that. And I said, oh no, this looks quite nice. Yeah, I'll give him 25 for that and you give him 25 for that. Took it home, took a look at it and thought, this is far better than Hornby tin print. So I sourced a matching coach. I think it was from the UK actually. And then of course a Hornby loco didn't quite look right. So I then managed to get a Bassett Loke, I think it was a compound. And from there the Bassett Loke, and as the years went by, I've still got some Hornby, but I did put in the HRCA auctions a lot of my Hornby stock and replaced it with Bassett Loke because I felt it was more scale models than toy trains.